Happy Christmas Eve, everyone. How's everyone doing for today? And welcome back to another movie review video for today. And for today's review, this is going to be my review on a film that came out back in 1992. In which, for today's video, this is going to be another Christmas movie review video for today. And as you guys already know, I reviewed the first movie on my channel already. And today I feel like I should review this movie as well to celebrate Christmas. And also, this film is now officially 30 years old, and since this movie's already 30 years old, which it became 30 years old just last month, I feel like I should review this film at the perfect at the perfect time, which today is Christmas Eve, and I feel like I should review this film on Christmas Eve since this movie's officially 30 years old. And as you guys can tell from the title of this video, I'm here to review the 1992 Christmas family comedy sequel film, and that is Home Alone 2: Lost in New York. This is directed by Chris Columbus once again, who made the first movie, and was of course written and produced by the late great John Hughes once again, and reunites the same cast from the first movie, such as Macaulay Culkin, Joe Pesci, Daniel Stern, Catherine O'Hara, and the late John Hurt, and also introducing some new cast in this movie, such as Oscar winner Brenda and Tim Curry. And the story of Home Alone 2 is that Kevin McAllister is back once again, played by Macaulay Culkin, as well as his family. The McAllisters are back, and this time they're of course busy again around the Christmas time. They're basically about to spend the new Christmas vacation in the new area, which they're basically about to go on their vacation in Florida. But what ends up happening is that Kevin accidentally gets separated in the airport, and he accidentally goes on the wrong plane instead of the one with his family, whereas his family's in Florida. But what ends up happening is that, like I said, he ends up getting on the wrong plane, and he ends up in New York City, and he starts to have fun and explore, and he basically starts to explore and have fun in New York. And he basically books himself in this fancy hotel called the Plaza Hotel by using his dad's credit card and cash, until the hotel finds out about his dad's credit card, and then they kick him out. And then Kevin accidentally bumps into Harry and Marv, who of course once again played by Joe Pesci and Daniel Stern, who they just recently broke out of prison. And the evil plan is that they basically want to rob a toy store on Christmas. And so Kevin has to do everything he can to basically follow the web bandits once again, and hopefully he can save the Christmas. So that's pretty much the story of Home Alone 2: Lost in New York. Now, with my experience with Home Alone 2, I used to watch this film quite a bit as well when I was growing up as a kid, even though there was a few parts of that film that did kind of traumatize me, just like with the first movie. But when over the years flew by, I managed to confront my fears with both of the first two Home Alone movies, for the parts that did kind of scare me and all that. And I have rewatched this film ever since as well, just like with the first one. I always watch this film every single Christmas season with my family, like with my parents, my brothers, my grandparents, my auntie and uncle and cousins, as well as with my best friends and all that. And I just can't believe the fact that this film is officially 30 years old, which is really insane. But ever since I rewatched this film over the years, does my opinion for this movie hold up to this day? You betcha, because I love Home Alone 2: Lost in New York. And you also may have a question for me: do I like this one a lot more better than the first movie? My answer is no. I don't think this is better than the first film, but I still love this movie from beginning to end. Ever since I rewatched this film over the last few years, over the Christmas seasons and all that, I started to appreciate this film for having like little moments and all that I really like, that I don't hear much people talk about and all that. Like, there's one little moment in the film with the McAllister family, where we get to see like what the family are like. Where there's a moment in the film when we see the McAllister family, and basically how they communicate for each other to basically get an information from one of them. I mean, for each and different one of them, is that they basically like to whisper into each other's ears in one line. And I like that little moment in the film, which again, I don't hear much people talk about, but I do like that little moment in the film. And it happens twice in the film. Once at a pageant, which is ruined by Buzz, and the second time when Kate finds out that her son is not there again. And of course, when it comes to that moment, everyone's already talked about that moment, and I just find that moment, every time I watch it, I just always can't stop laughing my ass off, mostly due to this famous quote in the movie. What makes the first two Home Alone movies so special, outside of, its pratfalls, Chris Columbus' great direction, John Williams' amazing score, and fun performances, is that this film has little special moments in the film with the family, with the McAllister family, which I really like those moments in the film. I thought it was really special and wonderful. Where when I rewatched this film and I spot every single spot those little moments in the film, it feels like this family feels so real to me, and it feels like I'm living with this family. And I liked how we see how each of the family members are quite different from one another. Which I liked how this film balances all that for each one of these characters and all that, and they don't have their own arcs or anything like that. They just have fun character traits, which makes which for the traits they have in this movie, it makes the family even more fun and likable and entertaining as well. Like there's a few entertaining moments with the family. There's one in the film, which is a really wonderful yet entertaining moment in the film where Kevin calls Uncle Frank a cheapskate. In which for that moment it was really really wonderful and funny. Which is of course this quote in the movie: "You better not wreck my trip, you little sourpuss. Your dad's paying good money for it." Oh, wouldn't want to spoil your fun, Mr. Cheapskate. I just love that moment in the movie. And also, there's another little family moment in the little special family moment in the film where we see Buzz being a jerk again by calling Kevin a trout sniffer. But towards the end of the film, they have a reconnection with one another, and I found that moment in the movie really wonderful and special. Again, when it just comes to those moments in this movie, I just find it really special and wonderful because I like how the McAllister family played out in this movie and all that, and it does feel like they just feel like a real family instead of like a fictional family. And like I said, this movie, and like I said, when it comes to its humorous moments for the film, it's just beyond, like I said, it's just beyond off the charts, mostly due to its slapstick from the pratfalls, which we'll talk about those later on. There's some little like offbeat humorous moments in the film which I really liked. Like there's one scene in the film, even though I already knew that there had to be a scene in the film where we see Kevin had to put on the earphones so he doesn't find out that he's gone on the wrong plane. But before that, we see him before the plane takes off. He sits next to a guy, and then the guy speaks to him, and he starts talking French, and then Kevin looks back at the camera and looks right at us and breaks the fourth wall, which I found that moment really funny in the movie. And just like I said, when it comes to those moments in the film, outside of, if it's, it's main slapstick humor and all that, it's just really, really funny. And when it comes to the story for the film, I do tend to agree with everyone what they've already said about this movie ever since I rewatched this film. Is the story is pretty much a beat for beat remake of the first film, except it's just except for this one, it's just an entirely in a new different area because this one's in New York. But I still love this. I still really appreciate the story and all that. I still like the story and the direction from Chris Columbus. It's just great like the first film, and by like having the exact same shots as the first film and all that. Like if you watch the first film and the second film together, you can just see the exact same shots where it's coming from and all that, which I really liked that. I really liked that ever since I rewatched both of those films and all that. And the score by John Williams, of course, is fantastic, just like the first film. And like I said, this film does have some original stuff that we've already seen before in the first here and there, but we'll talk about those a little bit and all that. But I liked how this film has some new stuff and all that, like having some new characters. Like there's Tim Curry in the film who plays this character who runs the hotel, and he's kind of like the secondary villain where he starts to basically suspect Kevin where he thinks that he's actually lying, and he might not have permission to use his dad's credit card, and he might be checking into the hotel alone, and he starts spying on him. And when it comes to those moments, I just find those moments really funny. Like there's one moment in the film where he spies on him in the shower, and that scene is just really really funny, and it's mostly due to Tim Curry's facial reactions. I find them so priceless but yet so funny. And Tim Curry, I think he's a beautiful actor, and he's just really really funny in the movie, especially the way he talks in the film. I just find it so funny and all that because he's just a really funny character here. Like, and how are we this morning? Fine. Is my transportation here? Out and about, sir. We have a limousine and a pizza. Cars are meant to the Plaza Hotel. And also, ever since I rewatched the film, there was one celebrity I didn't even know who was in the film, and that was Rob Schneider. Yeah, he's in the movie. Who plays Cedric in the film, who's this young employee. He's really funny in the movie. And I do mind Rob Schneider, even though there's a few movies I've seen before in the past, like lately, like the most recent ones he's done after this that haven't been that good. But for here in Home Alone 2, he is really, really funny. And for Brenda Fricker, who plays this homeless pigeon lady, who just wants to get away from everyone and just and the only friends she has are just pigeons. Her performance in the film is good, but I wouldn't say her character is not quite as interesting as Oma and Marley like in the first film, because she's basically a clone of that character. But again, I just don't think she isn't that quite interesting enough. But she's certainly not bad, because Brenda Fricker's acting in the film is pretty good for being a sweet a sweet a sweet woman who you do kind of feel for her, because again she's homeless and she doesn't have any friends or anything like that. And also in the film, like I said, you've got the return of Joe Pesci and Daniel Stern as both Harry and Marv, and they're once again just amazing together in the film, and the chemistry is completely off the charts again. Like this quote in the movie, "Here we are, Marv, New York City, the land of opportunity. Smell that? Yeah, you know what that is? Fish. It's freedom. No, it's fish. It's freedom. And it's money. Okay, it's freedom. Come on, let's get out of here before somebody sees us. And it's fish." I just love that moment as well in the movie. And like I said, this movie does have some original stuff here, original stuff from the first film being put into here, like Kevin uses the videotape "Angels with Even Filthier Souls" to basically use a diversion to basically stop Tim Curry and the employees for a while. And for that scene, it's just really funny, just like in the first film. You know, in the first film where Kevin uses it to basically scare the pizza man and Marv. But for here in the sequel, I just find it even more funnier. Like this quote here: "Don't give me that. You've been smooching with everybody. Snuffy, Al, Leo, Little Mo with the gimpy leg, Cheeks, Boney Bob, Cliff? No, it's a lie." I also love that moment in the movie. And when it comes to you know, the pratfalls in the film, the second time around, they're just really funny. But for those kind of traps in the film, in reality, the burglars would be dead. Even like the ones with the bricks. Like if Marv got hit in the head again by the second or third brick, he'll be dead. And there's even one where it's electrocution, where there's even one where Marv gets electrocuted, and for that trap I find it really funny. And they even actually show a human skull in the film, which I also found that really absolutely hilarious, that I just couldn't stop laughing my ass off. That I almost died every time when it comes to those moments, I just always laugh so hard that I almost die when it comes to that moment. So overall, Home Alone 2 Lost in New York, like I said, this is this is just another funny Home Alone movie, just like the first one. It's just a funny sequel, and yeah, like I said, I do agree with everyone, it's just pretty much a B for B remake of the first, except this one's entirely in New York. But I like some new stuff in this film, like with Tim Curry, which for scenes that has him, it's just really funny. And Brenda Fricker, like I said, she is good in the film, but for a character, I wouldn't say she's quite interesting as Old Man Molly, but certainly not bad. But again, she is good in the film, and like I said, it just has what you expect really from the first Home Alone movie. And if you're a fan of the first film, if you've never seen Home Alone 2 Lost in New York, I obviously recommend you check out this film around the holidays. So that's pretty much all I have to say about Home Alone 2 Lost in New York. I'm gonna give Home Alone 2 Lost in New York 4.5 out of 5. Alright, enough of this gooey show of emotion. I hope you all have a lovely Christmas break, and I'd like to say to everyone, Merry Christmas to everyone, and I hope you all have a Happy New Year. And also, thank you guys so much for watching for my movie review on Home Alone 2 Lost in New York, and let me know what you think of this sequel. If you have seen the sequel already, if you just recently checked out the sequel for the very first time, do you absolutely love the sequel, or do you not really like the sequel? As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and this has been Falcon's Media Corner signing off.